Protect your pet with the #1 name in flea and tick protection, Frontline Plus, trusted by vets for nearly 20 years.
Look who's behind you.
Hi, little honey guy.
11-month-old Jean drops in on mom and dad during Amy Schumer Learns to Cook.
Happening now.
He was very much into his job, into the community and helping.
I'm Dylan Collier. Coming up, law enforcement officers from throughout the area gather to honor fallen Bexar County Sheriff's Deputy Timothy De La Fuente.
Flattening the curve. How well are we doing here in San Antonio? What one doctor says we all need to consider before reopening the economy.
How long has your car been in park? Coming up, there are still some things you should do to make sure your car runs when you need it to.
After a few days where we've been sizzling in the heat, we are expecting a cool down thanks to a cool front. I've got a look ahead at those temperatures coming up.
It has been the conversation for weeks now. When should hair salons and barbershops reopen? One business owner is weighing in. The News at 5 starts right now. First at 5, law enforcement officers from throughout the community paying their respects to a fallen sheriff's deputy this morning.
Timothy De La Fuente died on Thursday, the same day officials say he tested positive for coronavirus. Dylan Collier spoke with De La Fuente's family about his love for a job that ultimately contributed to his death.
In an era of social distancing, police officers, deputies, and deputy constables gathered together for Timothy De La Fuente's final trip. In death, the 27-year veteran of the Bexar County Sheriff's Office illustrated the frightening power of a virus that is still not under control. Less than 2 days after being tested for COVID-19, he died from complications attributed to it.
We knew he was in a dangerous place, but I really didn't expect that to go that quickly.
De La Fuente returned to full-time work as a jailer after surviving a life-threatening assault inside the jail several years ago.
He wanted to continue working. He was very much into his job, into the community and helping.
Today's procession came from a decision by BCSO administration to treat De La Fuente's passing as a line-of-duty death, the agency's first related to the coronavirus.
And I'm sure he's looking down at us and he's very happy with all that.
One other sad note to the passing of De La Fuente, he and his sisters were still mourning the loss of both of their parents who died a few weeks apart earlier this year. On the city's south side, Dylan Collier, KSAT 12 News.
A fourth resident at the Frank M. Tejada Veterans Home in Floresville has now died from COVID-19 complications as well. The Texas General Land Office saying that the 10 of the remaining residents who tested positive there, 5 remain hospitalized. 5 are still at the Veterans Home. The outbreak started back in early April when a 75-year-old resident died from the virus. Everyone at the facility has now been tested. A total of 14 residents and 8 staff members had positive results.
Taking a look at the numbers in Bexar County right now, according to Metro Health's latest update, there are more than 800 active cases in the county. More than 750 people have recovered. Another 48 people have died. We'll have the latest numbers for you tonight live on the News at 6.
Taking a look now at cases among first responders. The San Antonio Police Department reporting 6 positive cases and 5 people quarantined. The San Antonio Fire Department also reporting 6 positive cases and 7 personnel quarantined. The Bexar County Sheriff's Office is seeing the highest number of cases. They have more than 50 detention officers testing positive and 1 death.
So when it comes to flattening the curve, how have we done? Dr. Brian Alsop, University Health System's Chief Medical Officer, says the San Antonio community has done a good job so far. Dr. Alsop, who is part of the COVID-19 health transition team, says while the road to reopening is up and running, we are not out of the woods.
The downside of flattening the curve is the curve becomes longer. So the good news is we've avoided a peak surge that would put a lot of pressure on the healthcare system. But that means that curve now extends out for a longer period of time. So we can expect to see more cases in our community for some time now.
Dr. Alsop says without everyone continuing to do their part to be socially distant, there's always the chance to have another surge. At that point, the health transition team would reconsider what the next move is for the city.
Last week's Bare Facts KSAT Rivard report poll shows that child abuse in San Antonio remains a critical concern. It's why the Children's Shelter is planning something new for the month of May, which is Mental Health Awareness Month. This month, the shelter will be holding 2 sessions each week for stressed out parents and their kids who may be feeling the same way. Starting on Wednesday, they're going to be live streaming on the Children's Shelter's Facebook page every Monday and Wednesday at 10 a.m. or at noon. They're also going to be available to view later.
5, 10, 15 minutes, something that, will live on our Facebook page and people can be able to ask questions as well.
Topics include how to take better care of yourself and your children, from infants to teens. There's even a session called Don't Sweat the Small Stuff with your teenager. Coming up at 6, our Jesse de Collado talks with a father who mentors other dads and gives his advice for all parents.
3 stories to know today. An East Side business hit with an unexpected blow after an elderly man drove his truck right into their front door this afternoon. One employee at Mr. and Mrs. G's Home Cooking on South W.W. White was injured. San Antonio police believe the elderly man hit the wrong pedal before the crash. The person who is injured is expected to be okay.
We now know the name of a 34-year-old man killed in a crash on I-10 last night. He's been identified as Cesar Cabrera. San Antonio police say around 10:30 last night, Cabrera's SUV was stopped on I-10 underneath UTSA Boulevard when a driver of a pickup truck crashed into him. He died on impact. The driver who caused the crash was taken to the hospital and is expected to be okay. That crash has been ruled an accident.
We've learned the name of a second man who was fatally shot at a Northside apartment complex Saturday night. He's been identified as 20-year-old Chance Sider. San Antonio police say Sider and the other victim, 21-year-old Darren Meeks, were doing a drug deal at the apartment complex on Jackson Keller near West Avenue when it went sideways. That's what police say. Officers were called there for an injured person but arrived to find the 2 men dead. 20-year-old Zion Limon was later arrested and is facing capital murder charges.
The new week bringing more reopenings across the United States as the federal government's social distancing guidelines have expired. By the end of the week, more than 40 states will have relaxed some restrictions.
Health officials warn, though, reopening the country too quickly is highly risky. Karen Kafa joins us now from Washington with the very latest. Karen.
Yeah, Stephen, Ursula, the area where I am, we call the DMV, the District of Columbia, Maryland, and Virginia. And here in this region, we are very much the exception. All 3 still under stay-at-home orders, while more than half of the states in the country this week started with some of their coronavirus restrictions loosened up. Now, public health experts continue to be concerned, and those who project the number of cases and deaths in this country, well, they're raising their numbers.
Washington awakens amid the coronavirus crisis, from the crowded National Mall to the empty chambers of the Supreme Court.
Oh, yay. Oh, yay. Oh, yay.
For the first time in history, justices hear oral arguments via teleconference as the highest court in the land adapts to the COVID-19 pandemic.
The court is now sitting.
Senators return to Capitol Hill while members of the House work from home.
You've got to get Congress working again. It is essential that we work.
That mindset is felt across the country as states start to relax restrictions. The reopenings meant to revive a stalled economy and calm restless residents, but come with potentially fatal consequences.
It's not like you go out today and we're going to see a spike tomorrow, but rather because there's a lag of time between when you get infected and when you start showing symptoms, and then another lag of time between that and when people become very ill or succumb to the illness. I think that's the problem.
A model from the Trump administration predicts the number of deaths from the coronavirus could double to about 3,000 a day by June 1st. That is according to an internal document obtained by the New York Times. The troubling projection underscores a sobering reality. The COVID-19 emergency may not end anytime soon.
And President Trump has also started to talk about a higher death toll. He did a town hall with Fox News last night in which he said maybe 80 to 90,000 Americans could lose their lives. He was talking about that in terms of 65,000 just a couple weeks ago. Of course, we've already passed that number. But Dr. Deborah Birx of the White House Coronavirus Task Force maintains that the projections the White House have always looked at estimate that 100 to 240,000 Americans could lose their lives to COVID-19. Stephen, Ursula, back to you.
Thank you, Karen Kafa, reporting live from Washington.
Oh, it's a question not just from business owners, but customers as well. When will hair and nail salons or barbershops be able to reopen? Governor Greg Abbott says due to the close physical nature of those jobs, it won't be for at least another 2 weeks. Vanessa Flores says she's one of many cosmetologists that run their own studio and says she believes her industry can be easily overseen.
It's kind of silly to me, like something like a movie theater is open and not something like a salon where you can kind of control not so much traffic.
Flores already has a plan to keep her and her clients safe when she returns to work, which includes limiting appointments and sanitizing between clients. She's one of 3 cosmetologists who shared their story with us. You can find more reaction from local business owners right now on the KSAT TV app.
As small business owners across the country and here in San Antonio prepare to reopen for the first time in coming weeks, new protocols have them searching for supplies. Many of them have been hard to come by because of the pandemic. Right now on KSAT.com, we are looking to hear from you about your own experience. Just go to KSAT.com/coronavirus.
The FDA making an effort to get fraudulent COVID-19 antibody tests off the market. The administration is actually requiring makers of the tests to seek emergency use authorization. The change reverses guidelines issued in March that relaxed approval standards and allowed companies to sell the tests without actually proving they worked.
COVID-19 does not impact all of us the same way. In fact, it seems the virus is affecting men more than women. In nearly every country that has published large-scale studies, men seem to have more cases, more hospitalizations, and more deaths from COVID-19 than women do. In the U.S., for example, even though more women get tested for the virus, more men have confirmed cases. A large study out of China, where the virus was first found, showed that men made up 75% of the deaths. But why are there sex disparities? Researchers from Mayo Clinic have several theories that include lifestyle habits like smoking, drinking, and the type of occupation, and biological differences, evolutionary theories, and even social and cultural norms. Men have higher rates of smoking, high blood pressure, and diabetes, all 3 known to weaken your immune system. Biologically, the male hormone known as androgen weakens the immune system compared to estrogen, the female hormone. Also, the X chromosome, which men have 1 and women have 2, may boost the immune system. In many countries, stay-home orders meant kids stayed home from childcare and school. And culturally, that meant women stayed home too, perhaps protecting them as more men remained in the workforce. Now, what health experts want you to know for sure is that we need to have a better understanding of these disparities if we're going to effectively fight this virus for any given time. Coming up at 6, I'm going to explain a new warning for younger COVID patients regarding their risk of stroke with this virus.
Ooh, it was another hot day out there today. Temperatures have climbed well into the upper 90s for many places. That after we saw some morning clouds, but now as you take a picture outside with the live cam, total sunshine. Let's go ahead and take a look at these weather watcher temperatures everywhere. 100 degrees out in Warren's backyard in Del Rio, 93 in Schertz, 93 on Leon Springs, 96 in Universal City, and 96 in Mico. But if you're like me and don't love this heat, we've got a cool front on the way. Not only one cool front, but 2 cool fronts. So I'll be back to take a look at those tumbling temperatures coming up in a few minutes. Steve?
That's too cool. Yeah. Between working from home and social distancing, you might be leaving your house a lot less often. That can take a toll on your vehicle. Up next, the simple things you should do to help yourself and your car in the long run. All right, when's the last time you started your car? Staying at home means the car isn't used as much, and while that means cutting out gas money and commute time, it can also have consequences. 12 on your side's Marilyn Moritz on what TLC your car needs, even when you're not using it.
Chances are your car is spending more time at home too, parked in the garage or driveway. But even as it sits idle, it still needs attention to keep it running smoothly.
Even if you have nowhere to go, you still want to be driving your car around town for about 20 minutes each week. This will keep your battery charged
and keep lubricants circulating. A car parked too long can also turn into a critter condo. Rodents take up residence and chew on the wires, and that can be a pretty pricey repair. Gas prices are super low, now averaging $1.40 a gallon. That's $1 a gallon less than a year ago. But remember, gas can degrade and go bad.
If you think your car is going to end up with the same fuel in the tank for more than 3 months, completely fill your car up at the gas station and add the appropriate amount of fuel stabilizer. This will help keep the fuel from breaking down over time.
Keep up with regular maintenance and check your oil and filters. And your tires, they can lose air pressure over time and even get flat spots where the rubber meets the road. And don't forget to wash it to protect the finish at least once a season, and more if you park it outside. Marilyn Moritz, KSAT 12 News.
Live look outside with Sky 12. A gorgeous day out there, but look at the temperature. We're going to have to wait a few more hours before we're going to get a cool down, aren't we, Sarah?
I think I say this every year, but isn't it too early for
this?
It just seems like it's too early.
I think the thing is we just long for the cool, comfortable weather because we don't get it that much here in San Antonio. But the good news is we are going to see a cool down, especially by tomorrow afternoon. You'll notice the temperatures will be a lot cooler. Not necessarily chilly, but a lot more comfortable. Here's a look at the time lapse today. Totally clear skies out there after some morning clouds, warming up to 96. So far, that's our high. That's our current temperature. We'll continue to check back in, see if we go up a degree or two. And this morning, our morning low of 71. So it was muggy and humid, and you notice that humidity. Again, tomorrow, a cool front going to suck out the humidity and allow for our temperatures to be about 10 to 15 degrees cooler than what we saw for the afternoon high. But it is very hot. In fact, out toward Del Rio, a record high temperature today of 103 so far. 104 out toward Eagle Pass and Carrizo Springs, 92 in Kerrville. But this evening, as things go, we are going to cool down a little bit, but it'll still be pretty muggy, and we'll have mostly clear skies around 8, still be near 90 degrees. You'll notice it'll be a bit breezy too, so it won't be too bad to sit on the porch this evening with that breeze. Southeast winds at 10 to 15 miles per hour. By midnight, clouds will return, and for the first part of the day tomorrow, you really won't notice too much of a change. But a change is gonna come. We've got a low pressure system across the Central Plains. You can see tornado warnings across parts of East Oklahoma. Behind it, a cool front. Now, I know that looks a little scary with the tornado warnings up in Oklahoma, but by the time this front gets to us around lunch tomorrow, we're not going to see much rain with it at all, if any rainfall. But take a look at these temperatures behind this front. Again, 103 right now in San Angelo, near 100 in Lubbock. But you go just to north of that a little bit, 60s in Colorado, 50s in parts of Nebraska and South Dakota. We'll take you through the future cast here. Again, tomorrow will start much like the last few days. It'll be cloudy, it'll be muggy, temperatures will be in the 70s. But as we approach the lunch hour, we'll start to see our wind shifting from the north with this front. And we cannot rule out a stray shower or storm, but rain chances are very, very low tomorrow. So keep that in mind. That front will move through, and then this is a look at the picture tomorrow afternoon. 84 for the high temperature in San Antonio. Not too shabby. Up in the hill country, 70s, 77 for the high in Kerrville, even out toward Del Rio, which is currently 103. 86 degrees. So this cool front will count. However, if you're well south of Highway 90, like out toward Cotulla or Laredo, that front's not going to get to you on time. And it's going to stay hot out toward Cotulla and across the Central Plains. The way you'll know that the front moves through is that it'll get windy in the afternoon. Winds will start to gust from the north up to about 20 to 25 miles per hour right after about 2 to 3 o'clock. And that's how you'll notice that the front moves through. Dew points will fall. It'll be a lot more comfortable in the afternoon, just a little windy. So like I said, stubborn clouds in the morning, 71 degrees. A stray storm will be possible with that front, but is unlikely. And then we'll be at 81. Then things change. Instead of zooming up into the 90s, we'll stay steady in the low to mid 80s for our highs. Again, gusts up to about 25 miles per hour, and it'll be very beautiful in the evening hours. Pleasant weather for us as we end the week. Our highs will slowly rebound. Then I want to focus on Friday and Saturday. We are going to have another front move through. This front could bring some light rain with it, and it's going to drop our highs down into the 70s for the weekend. But Mother's Day, guys, looks really great.
Very pretty. Thank you. What a nice gift.
So football loses one of its legendary coaches.
Without question, the only coach to ever have a perfect season. When we come back, Don Shula passes away. His legacy is left behind. We'll review that with you. And the Cowboys have to cut Cooper. Coming up.
Pro football coverage, powered by Davis Law Firm.
Don Shula, the all-time winningest coach in the history of the NFL, leading the Miami Dolphins to the only perfect season in league history, has died today at his home in Miami at the age of 90. Shula passed George Halas's NFL record of 324 victories in 1993, then retired following the 1995 season with 347 wins, 173 losses, 6 ties, inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame in 1997. Shula was also the only coach in NFL history to take a team through a perfect season, when the 1972 Dolphins went 17-0, won the Super Bowl again the following season when they went 15-2. Shula appeared in 6 Super Bowls, reaching the playoffs in 4 decades with 3 Hall of Fame quarterbacks in Johnny Unitas, Bob Greasy, and Dan Marino. The team releasing this statement today, and it said in total here, Don Shula was the patriarch of the Miami Dolphins for 50 years. He brought the winning edge to our franchise and put the Dolphins in the city of Miami in the national sports scene. Our deepest thoughts and prayers go out to Mary Ann, along with his children Dave, Donna, Sharon, Ann, and Mike. Hall of Fame running back Larry Zonka will remember Shula as a family member.
I didn't realize that until this morning when I was called and told that he had passed. You know how much it would bother me. I had always thought of him as a coach. I never thought of him as a brother or as a stepfather or something in that capacity until the moment I lost him. And then I realized how close I really was to him.
And the Dallas Cowboys have decided to cut backup quarterback Cooper Rush less than 48 hours after signing Andy Dalton to a 1-year, $7 million contract. The Central Michigan product has been with the team since 2017, was a very big favorite among the players. But with $3 million guaranteed for Dalton, the former TCU product who was cut by the Bengals to make room for national champion Heisman Trophy winner Joe Burrow, someone had to go. Dalton was with the Bengals for 9 seasons after being drafted by the team in 2011, did not leave Cincinnati without saying goodbye over the weekend. His statement said in part, "I've given everything to the organization, the city. My family has given so much to the city. We didn't take our position and platform lightly. To see what has happened since yesterday is bigger than football. We understood that. We know that, and we're feeling the love, and it's bigger than football." To show their appreciation, fans started donating money to Dalton's foundation in $14 increments to honor the number he wore in Cincy. You can count former Cowboys wide receiver Dez Bryant as not a fan of the Andy Dalton signing by the Cowboys. Believed the move was designed to put pressure on Dak Prescott to sign a long-term contract instead of playing under the franchise tag this season. Dez tweeted, "Nothing against Andy Dalton because I think he's a great player, but the Cowboys are extremely out of line. Pay Dak. I watched the Cowboys pay Tony twice, once without a winning rec. I guess the Cowboys viewing the QB position as a plug-in piece because of dominant offenses." Dez later apologized for that tweet because it felt like he offended people, but he's still sticking with it, though.
Interesting. Mm-hmm. All right, we'll see how it plays out. Hopefully.
Yep.
Yeah,
hopefully.
Yeah.
Hopefully we have football.
Yeah, thanks, Greg.
You got it.
We'll be right back.
Well, tomorrow is going to be a lot cooler than today. 84 degrees after a front moves through right around the lunch hour. Then we'll stay relatively cool for another 2 days, but by Friday it'll be hot again. Another front arrives, though, allowing for cooler weather by the weekend.
Thanks so much for watching the News at 5 with us.